Let's wrap up lesson 4A with one last short little video where we'll talk about data locks, the del statement, and filtering with SQL. Data locks can be an issue when you're working with cursors that require write access to the data. So update cursors, insert cursors, they require the data to not be in use by another application, because if the layer is in use by another application, then Python won't be able to get an exclusive lock on it and it won't be able to make changes. Likewise, if Python runs code that uses an update cursor on a particular data set, if you go back into ArcGIS Pro and look at that data set, then Python, PyCharm, or whatever you're using, will have the lock on the data, and ArcGIS Pro won't be able to make any changes to the data. So this includes any table edits or maybe even feature edits. So both PyCharm or whatever IDE you're using and ArcGIS Pro can lock the data, and using an update cursor will lock the data. So if you ever have trouble with editing issues on data before or after using an update cursor, what you need to do is close out the application. If you're trying to use Python, then go close ArcGIS Pro. If you're trying to make edits in ArcGIS Pro, then make sure you close Python or PyCharm to make sure that the data is not in use. So in your textbook, pages 249 and 251, talk about this a little bit if you want some more info. One way that you can use to try to prevent some of these locking errors on data with update and insert cursors is to use what's called the del statement. It's a Python statement. It's not through ArcPy at all, but it's a way for Python to delete that variable from memory. It will clean it up, and then it will release the lock if there's any lock on the data. So you can use the del statement for your cursor object or for your row object, or for any variable for that matter. One thing we looked at in the demo briefly in the second version of that search cursor example was how we can filter rows using SQL. So SQL, Structured Query Language, is a standard language for creating SQL expressions or creating query expressions. And it can be used in a lot of different places throughout ArcGIS. But when you're working with cursors, if you have a table, if you have a layer that has 915 rows, but you don't want all of them, or maybe you just want a sample of it, you can use SQL to retrieve only certain ones that meet certain criteria. So here's an example from your book where we're creating a search cursor on a roads layer, and we're only looking for ones where class code equals 1. So here is your query expression, your where clause. When you look at the syntax, this is the where clause. So class code equals 1 enclosed in quotation marks. In the example we used in the demo, we were looking at Orange County, so it was like county G field equals orange. There's a little bit more you can do with SQL with your cursors as well. So only for geodatabases, not all formats support it, but SQL has a lot more functionality that is either unknown or kind of hard to learn about within ArcGIS Pro, or possibly not supported by ArcGIS Pro. But one of them, or two of them, is a function called order by, and another one is called distinct. So here's an example where we are ordering by street name. What this does is when it creates the cursor, it's just going to sort it. It's just going to order it alphabetically by street name. And so instead of getting your cursor in the order of the row ID, it will be alphabetized. And then the other thing here is called distinct. So if you're creating a cursor and you only have one field that you're looking for, distinct is a really nifty way, which I just learned about and I'm excited to use it. It's a way to remove duplicates. It's a way to get a unique list of values. So there's a lot more on this. I really suggest taking a look at section 8.3 in the book. We talk more about this in the next part of the lecture in 4B, and then there's also a lot of help on it online. But here's an example. Here we have that same search cursor that we were looking at in the demo, but now I create an SQL statement. If you look at the syntax for search cursor, there's the table right here. So we have the table and the fields, and normally the third thing is called the where clause. And then there's a whole bunch of optional ones. And one of those optional ones further on down the line is called the SQL clause. The where clause is your query. County G equals orange. Class code equals 1. And that would be the third parameter. If you need to skip a whole bunch of parameters and jump to one, you can actually type in the name of the argument here and set it equal to the value you want to pass in for that argument. So here we're jumping to like the 6th or so optional argument for search cursors. And what we're saying is the SQL clause is equal to the SQL variable that we created up here, distinct, comma, order by species. So doing it with this coding will create a search cursor that only contains this unique list of species names right here. It's not giving me all 915 rows. It's only giving me, and I'm only asking to print out the species name. So that's a really nifty way to get the unique list of species. And then I also added a counter here with num species. And I printed out there are this many unique species in the database, so I can see that there are 30. So there's a lot you can do with SQL. You just kind of have to dig in. So take a look at those resources, and I encourage you to play around with it on your own. Here are some review questions for you. The answers will be posted to Canvas. And now you're ready to start Lab 4A. So you'll be playing around with search cursors, update cursors, and we'll be basically doing a condensed version of the PSA book Chapter 8 exercise. So I'm giving you just the nuts and bolts of what the requirements are, but if at any time you need help and need complete steps to follow along with, you can go to the PDF, which is provided on Canvas, and you can kind of follow along. But I'd prefer you to try to figure things out on your own rather than just copying code from a book. This exercise also has a number of optional challenges. So if you want more, if you want to be challenged, it's just a way that you can go one step further with the code and try to figure out a couple of more complex tasks. So go do that, have fun, and then you'll be ready for lesson 4B after that.